August 1994, Puerto Rico.
It often begins with a whisper, an anonymous tip to a police hotline, or a hushed conversation between an informant and a detective. Sometimes it's the result of painstaking surveillance on a nondescript warehouse, where strange comings and goings at odd hours raise suspicion. Federal agents might notice trucks hauling away dirt from a property where no construction permit has been filed. Then comes the raid. Teams of armed officers storm the building, and somewhere inside, hidden beneath a floor tile, a piece of machinery, or even a billiard table, they find the entrance to another world. A dark, narrow hole descending deep into the earth, leading to a secret passage that snakes silently beneath one of the most heavily fortified borders on the planet. These discoveries, while dramatic, are becoming an almost routine part of law enforcement work along the US-Mexico border. They reveal an ingenious and persistent underworld of criminal engineering. For every tunnel found, officials worry about how many more remain active and undetected, operating as silent conduits for a multi-billion-dollar illicit trade. These are not simple burrows scraped out of the dirt. They are sophisticated projects of civil engineering, complete with electricity, ventilation, and transportation systems. They represent a monumental investment by criminal organizations, a calculated risk taken to bypass the ever-increasing security measures being implemented on the surface above. The story of these tunnels is a story of adaptation, innovation, and a relentless cat-and-mouse game played out in the darkness, far below the desert sun. The very existence of these subterranean routes speaks volumes about the determination of the cartels. Faced with fences, walls, drones, and thousands of patrol agents, they did not retreat. They simply changed their theater of operations. They went down. This shift required a whole new level of expertise, moving from the brute force of overland smuggling to the complex, clandestine world of underground construction. It demanded engineers, miners, and a disciplined workforce, all operating in total secrecy. The scale of these operations is staggering, often involving months or even years of construction and millions of dollars in expenditure, all for a single hidden passageway that could be discovered and shut down at any moment. Each tunnel found is a victory for law enforcement, but it is also a sobering reminder of the scale of the challenge they face. Sealing a tunnel with concrete is a temporary solution to a much larger problem. The cartels view these losses as a mere cost of doing business, an operational setback rather than a defeat. They learn from each discovery, refining their construction techniques and concealment methods for the next attempt. The border, a line on a map, becomes a three-dimensional battlefield. The struggle is not just happening along a fence line, but also in the air with drones and, most cunningly, deep within the geological layers of the Earth itself, in a hidden war fought far from public view. The modern era of narco-tunneling began on a specific day, 17th of May, 1990. On that day, agents from the Drug Enforcement Administration followed a lead to a warehouse in the quiet border town of Douglas, Arizona. Inside, they found what appeared to be a normal games room, complete with a pool table. But this was no ordinary piece of furniture. With the flick of a switch, a sophisticated hydraulic lift system engaged, raising the entire pool table to reveal a square-cut hole in the concrete floor. This was the entrance to the first true super tunnel, a project masterminded by a then 33-year-old trafficker who was just beginning to make his name, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. The tunnel's sophistication earned it the nickname, the James Bond Tunnel. This inaugural super tunnel was a marvel of criminal engineering, setting a standard that would be emulated and improved upon for decades to come. It stretched for 270 feet, connecting the warehouse in Douglas to a luxurious home in Agua Prieta, Mexico. The passage itself was not a rough-hewn cave, but a professionally constructed corridor, measuring approximately 5 feet high and 4 feet wide. The walls were reinforced with concrete and timber, featuring a smooth, arched ceiling to prevent collapses. It was a clear signal that the Sinaloa cartel, under El Chapo's ambitious leadership, was investing heavily in infrastructure, moving beyond simple smuggling tactics to create reliable and reusable logistical arteries for their illicit products. The features within the tunnel were what truly astounded investigators. It was equipped with electric lighting that ran its entire length, eliminating the need for flashlights and allowing workers to move quickly and efficiently. A rail track system was installed on the floor, complete with a small cart, moved by a pulley system, capable of transporting large quantities of drugs with minimal human effort. To ensure the tunnel remained operational and habitable, a ventilation system, constructed from PVC pipes, pumped fresh air from the surface. There was even a water pump to handle any groundwater seepage, and the entire subterranean environment was kept at a controlled 18 degrees Celsius, ideal for preserving the valuable cargo. The sheer operational capacity of this single tunnel was breathtaking. In the 7 months it was active before its discovery, authorities estimate that an astonishing 30 tons of cocaine were moved through it into the United States. Its discovery, however, also revealed the brutal reality behind its construction. After the raid, investigators in Mexico uncovered the bodies of 14 laborers who had helped build the tunnel. They had been murdered by the cartel, their silence permanently guaranteed. The US government's response was to fill their end of the passage with concrete, but the message was clear. A new, audacious front had been opened in the war on drugs, one that took place deep underground. The discovery of El Chapo's James Bond tunnel in 1990 was not an end, but a beginning. It served as a proof of concept for the cartels, demonstrating that with enough capital and ingenuity, the border could be systematically undermined. In the years to follow, the lessons learned from that first super tunnel were refined and expanded upon. The initial designs, while impressive for their time, soon gave way to even more ambitious and complex projects. What started as a single, remarkable feat of engineering quickly evolved into a burgeoning underground industry. Law enforcement agencies watched with growing alarm as the tunnels they discovered became progressively longer, deeper, and more sophisticated, representing a clear escalation in the cartel's operational capabilities. The early evolution focused on improving the core elements of the original design. Builders moved away from simple timber supports to using expertly laid concrete and steel reinforcements, creating passages that were far more stable and permanent. Lighting systems transitioned from simple incandescent bulbs strung along a wire to more reliable and energy-efficient LED strips. Ventilation became more powerful, with larger fans and wider ducts capable of supporting larger construction crews working for longer shifts. The railcart systems also grew in scale, with some later tunnels featuring custom-built, electrically powered carts capable of carrying thousands of pounds of cargo in a single run, transforming the tunnels from narrow footpaths into veritable subterranean superhighways. This rapid advancement was driven by a simple economic reality: the immense profitability of the drug trade. The cartels could afford to invest millions of dollars into research and development, treating tunnel construction like a corporate division. They hired skilled professionals, including architects, mining engineers, and geologists, to plan and execute these projects. These experts helped them select optimal routes, analyze soil composition to avoid unstable ground, and design structures that could withstand the immense pressures of being buried deep underground. This professionalization marked a significant shift, turning tunnel building from a risky gamble into a calculated and repeatable business strategy for bypassing border security. Since that first discovery in 1990, authorities on both sides of the border have unearthed more than 180 cross-border tunnels. This figure, while substantial, is widely believed to represent only a fraction of the total number constructed. Each new discovery often reveals a fresh innovation, a new technique for concealment, or a clever engineering solution to a problem encountered in a previous design. This continuous cycle of construction, discovery, and innovation created an underground arms race. As law enforcement struggled to keep up, the cartels were already digging the next generation of tunnels, pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible in their relentless effort to secure their supply lines. The subterranean arms race reached a new pinnacle in January 2020. After months of complex investigation, the San Diego Tunnel Task Force announced the discovery of the longest and most advanced narco tunnel ever found, stretching an incredible 4,309 feet. Nearly a mile long, it connected an industrial area in Tijuana, Mexico, to a commercial lot in San Diego. The sheer scale of the project was mind-boggling, a testament to the cartel's unwavering commitment to their underground strategy. This was not just another tunnel, it was a flagship project, showcasing the apex of their engineering prowess and logistical planning, built to operate on an industrial scale right under the noses of border authorities. The entrance on the Mexican side was a masterpiece of concealment, located inside a small industrial building. A shaft descended an astonishing 70 feet below the surface, far deeper than most previous tunnel laws, to a depth that would render most detection technologies useless. Access to the tunnel was not via a crude ladder, but through a fully operational, industrial-grade elevator, capable of carrying several people and heavy loads of cargo. From the base of the shaft, the main passage snaked its way north, burrowing deep beneath the urban landscape of Otay Mesa, including parts of the heavily fortified border fence itself, before terminating in a nondescript warehouse district in the United States. Inside, the tunnel was a hive of advanced technology. It stood 5.5 feet high and 2 feet wide, allowing workers to move with relative ease. High-voltage electrical cables ran the entire length, powering a sophisticated LED lighting system, ventilation fans, and the electric railcart network. One of the most impressive features was its complex drainage system. At such depths, groundwater is a constant threat. The builders had installed an intricate network of pipes and sump pumps to continuously remove water, ensuring the passage remained dry and operational. This level of planning demonstrated a long-term vision, indicating the tunnel was built not for a few quick runs, but for sustained high-volume smuggling over many years. The discovery of this record-breaking tunnel was a stark illustration of how far the cartels had come since 1990. Every element, from the elevator shaft to the drainage pumps, was a direct response to the challenges and limitations of previous designs. The extreme depth was a countermeasure to detection. The robust electrical and rail systems were designed for maximum efficiency and throughput. The project likely cost millions of dollars and took more than a year to construct, involving dozens of laborers working in shifts around the clock. It was a clear statement of intent. For every measure of security added on the surface, the cartels were prepared to go deeper, longer, and more advanced below. For years, the United States government has invested tens of millions of dollars in a quest for a technological silver bullet to find narco tunnels. A dizzying array of sophisticated equipment has been deployed along the border, each promising to peel back the earth and reveal the secret passages hidden beneath. Scientists and engineers have experimented with ground-penetrating radar, which sends radio waves into the soil, hoping to detect anomalies that signify a void. They have installed networks of sensitive seismic sensors, designed to pick up the subtle vibrations from digging or underground carts. Thermal imaging cameras have been used to look for heat signatures from machinery or people, and microgravity sensors have tried to detect the tiny gravitational changes caused by a hollow tunnel. Despite this massive investment and the cutting-edge nature of the technology, the results have been profoundly disappointing. To date, not a single one of the more than 180 cross-border tunnels has been discovered by these advanced technological means. The reasons for this failure are numerous and complex. The geology of the border region is incredibly varied and filled with natural clutter, rocks, water pockets, and different soil layers that creates false positives and masks the faint signals of a tunnel. Furthermore, the ambient noise from cities, highways, and industrial parks overwhelms sensitive seismic and acoustic sensors, making it impossible to distinguish the sounds of tunneling from everyday surface activity. The cartels have also adapted their methods to specifically counter these technologies. By digging their tunnels deeper and deeper, with some, like the 2020 Supertunnel, reaching depths of 70 feet, they have placed their operations far beyond the effective range of most ground-penetrating radar systems. Their use of manual labor with pickaxes and shovels, rather than heavy machinery, minimizes the seismic footprint of their construction. The very effectiveness of their concealment on the surface, hiding entry, and exit points inside noisy warehouses further camouflages their activities. In this technological arms race, the low-tech adaptive methods of the smugglers have consistently outmaneuvered the high-tech solutions of the state. The simple, unvarnished truth is that every single cartel tunnel ever discovered has been found as a result of old-fashioned human intelligence. The crucial breakthroughs have come from informant tips, where someone involved in the operation or with knowledge of it decides to talk to the authorities. Success has also come from routine police work, vigilant officers noticing suspicious activities, such as trucks dumping soil in the desert, or unusual construction at a warehouse. Sometimes it's just pure luck, like a sinkhole opening up on a road and revealing a passage beneath. This reality has forced a strategic shift in law enforcement, away from a reliance on gadgets and towards the timeless, patient work of cultivating sources and diligent surveillance. In the early 2000s, the United States embarked on a massive effort to secure its southern border. Billions of dollars were spent erecting miles of tall steel fences, installing sophisticated surveillance cameras, and deploying thousands of additional Border Patrol agents. The goal was to create a formidable physical barrier that would make it significantly harder for traffickers to move their illicit products overland. On the surface, the strategy seemed to work. Crossing in remote desert areas or rushing checkpoints became a far riskier and more expensive proposition for smuggling organizations. However, this focus on surface-level security had an unintended and powerful consequence. It created the wall paradox. This paradox is simple. The more difficult and dangerous it becomes to smuggle goods over the border, the more attractive and economically viable it becomes to smuggle them under it. The cartels, faced with a hardened surface, did not simply give up. Instead, they reallocated their immense resources and ingenuity to the subterranean realm. The increased security on the surface acted as a powerful business incentive to invest in tunneling. A tunnel, though expensive and time-consuming to build, offered a covert and reusable route that bypassed the fences, patrols, and drones entirely. This shift led to a veritable tunnel-building boom that caught authorities by surprise. The statistics clearly illustrate this trend. Between the discovery of the first supertunnel in 1990 and the mid-2000s, when the major border fortification projects began, authorities found a relatively small number of tunnels. However, as the walls went up, the rate of discovery skyrocketed. Between 2007 and 2011 alone, law enforcement unearthed approximately 75 tunnels, more than had been found in the entire preceding 2 decades combined. The very security measures designed to choke off the flow of drugs were, in effect, funneling it into these hidden underground corridors, creating a new and even more complex challenge for law enforcement. This phenomenon highlights a core principle of organized crime. It behaves like water, flowing around any obstacle placed in its path. By focusing almost exclusively on a two-dimensional line on a map, policymakers inadvertently encourage the cartels to start thinking in 3 dimensions. The border wall, a symbol of state power and control, became a catalyst for criminal innovation. The cartels simply treated the fence as a surface-level inconvenience and channeled their efforts into a domain where the state was effectively blind. The result was a new hidden battleground where the rules were different and where success depended not on walls and patrols, but on secrecy, engineering, and deep earth construction. Just as Silicon Valley is the global hub for technological innovation, a specific region along the US-Mexico border has become the undisputed epicenter of narco-tunneling Otay Mesa. This sprawling industrial expanse, straddling the border between Tijuana and San Diego, is the location where the vast majority of the most sophisticated tunnels have been discovered. It is not by chance that smugglers have focused their efforts here. Otay Mesa possesses a unique combination of geological and commercial characteristics that make it the perfect environment for clandestine underground construction, a veritable Silicon Valley for criminal engineering. The first and most crucial advantage is the region's soil. Beneath the surface of Otay Mesa lies a thick layer of a clay-like substance that geologists refer to as siltstone. This material is the tunneler's dream. It is soft enough to be excavated with relative ease using hand tools like pickaxes and shovels, which minimizes noise and the need for heavy, conspicuous machinery. At the same time, the siltstone is incredibly cohesive and stable, meaning that a tunnel can be dug without the constant, immediate threat of collapse that would exist in sandier or looser soils. This geological sweet spot allows for the construction of long, stable passages with minimal reinforcement, significantly reducing construction time and cost. The second key factor is the area's commercial landscape. Otay Mesa is home to hundreds of massive, nearly identical industrial warehouses on both sides of the border. This dense concentration of commercial buildings provides the perfect cover for tunneling operations. The constant noise of trucks, forklifts, and manufacturing easily masks the sounds of underground digging. Furthermore, the regular traffic of large lorries coming and going from these warehouses provides an ideal disguise for hauling away the enormous quantities of excavated dirt. A truck leaving a warehouse full of soil is indistinguishable from one leaving with legitimate commercial goods, allowing smugglers to remove hundreds of tons of earth in plain sight. This combination of favorable geology and ideal surface cover creates a uniquely permissive environment for the cartels. They can lease or purchase a warehouse, erect temporary walls inside to hide their activities, and begin digging downwards without attracting attention. The entry and exit points are securely located within private, enclosed properties, invisible to passing patrols or aerial surveillance. This perfect storm of factors is why the San Diego Tunnel Task Force focuses so much of its energy on this specific area. They know that while tunnels could theoretically be dug anywhere, the unique advantages of Otay Mesa make it the most logical and profitable place for cartels to invest their subterranean efforts. The construction of a single cross-border tunnel is a monumental undertaking with a price tag to match. Experts estimate that a sophisticated tunnel can cost between $1 and $2 million to complete. This figure accounts for the cost of leasing or buying properties on both sides of the border, purchasing tools and materials like timber and concrete, and installing complex systems for lighting, ventilation, and transport. Most significantly, it includes the cost of labor, paying or coercing dozens of workers to toil in dangerous conditions for months or even years on end. From a purely financial perspective, the loss of a multi-million-dollar tunnel to a police raid appears to be a devastating blow to a criminal organization. However, this high initial investment must be weighed against the colossal profits of the narcotics trade. The U.S. drug market is estimated to be worth tens of billions of dollars annually. A single successful shipment of a few tons of cocaine or methamphetamine moved through a tunnel can generate profits that far exceed the entire construction cost. From the cartel's perspective, the tunnel is not a one-off expense but a capital investment in infrastructure. If a tunnel can remain operational for even a few weeks or months before being discovered, it can pay for itself many times over, generating immense returns that fuel the entire criminal enterprise. This economic calculation means the cartels can easily absorb the loss of multiple tunnels. They play a numbers game. If they build 5 tunnels and 4 are discovered by authorities, the profit generated by the one successful tunnel can be enough to cover the losses of the other 4 and still leave the organization phenomenally wealthy. This makes tunnel interdiction a frustrating endeavor for law enforcement. While each discovery is a tactical victory, it barely dents the cartel's overall financial power or their strategic commitment to the underground route. They simply write off the loss and begin work on the next project, funded by the proceeds of their vast ongoing operations. Behind this cold economic calculus lies a dark human cost. The conditions for the workers, or topos, moles, who dig these tunnels are often brutal and exploitative. While some may be skilled miners earning a high wage, many are coerced laborers, working as indentured servants to pay off debts or under threat of violence to their families. They work long shifts in cramped, dark, and poorly ventilated spaces, facing the constant risk of cave-ins, electrocution, or suffocation. In the most ruthless cases, as seen after the discovery of the first supertunnel, the laborers who complete the project are murdered by their employers to ensure their silence, their lives treated as just another disposable cost of doing business. Despite decades of effort and hundreds of discoveries, the tunnel problem is not going away. On the contrary, the boom in subterranean construction continues unabated. In 2022, authorities in San Diego announced yet another major find, a highly sophisticated tunnel stretching 6 football fields in length. It was equipped with reinforced walls, lighting, ventilation, and a rail system, and it ran directly beneath one of the most heavily fortified segments of the entire US-Mexico border. This discovery, years after the record-breaking tunnel of 2020, serves as a potent warning that the cartel's commitment to their underground strategy remains as strong as ever. They continue to dig, innovate, and adapt. The reasons for this persistence are rooted in the fundamental dynamics of the drug war. As long as there is immense demand for illicit drugs in the United States and a powerful criminal network in Mexico willing to supply it, smugglers will find a way to cross the border. The tunnels represent the most logical and efficient solution to the problem of heightened surface security. They are a direct, rational response to the walls, sensors, and patrols. Until the core economic incentives of the drug trade are addressed, sealing tunnels with concrete is akin to treating a symptom of a much deeper illness. The cartels will always have the resources and the motivation to simply start digging elsewhere. Looking to the future, it is likely that this subterranean cat-and-mouse game will only intensify. We can expect tunnels to become even deeper and more technologically advanced. Cartels may begin to employ more sophisticated boring machines to speed up construction and minimize seismic signatures. They may develop new techniques for concealing entrances and exits, perhaps even creating multiple branches or decoy passages to confuse investigators. On the other side, law enforcement will continue to refine its strategies, relying ever more heavily on human intelligence, data analysis of warehouse logistics, and international cooperation to get ahead of the diggers. Ultimately, the story of the narco tunnels is a powerful metaphor for the broader challenges of border security and the war on drugs. It demonstrates that a purely defensive strategy, focused on building higher walls and deploying more technology, is destined to be circumvented by a determined and well-funded adversary. The ingenuity of the tunnels is a testament to the boundless resourcefulness of criminal enterprise when confronted with immense potential profits. As long as the fundamental market forces remain in place, we can be certain that deep beneath the desert, in the darkness far below the border fence, the digging will continue.